And welcome one and all to the weekly report and roundtable presented by the Light and the Arts and Media Think Tank. My name is Raymond Tyler, and I'm here today. We are here today. This is the last Wednesday before the 2020 presidential election, and I'm here with my good friend James.
How you guys doing?
Me and James
We go
have
back,
a lot
man.
of memories from back in the day.
Oh yeah,
Um, he currently works as a
the
scientist
vaccine.
who creates or
Oh, manufacturers, the
manufactures
vaccine.
vaccines. I wanted to say
Oh,
what is it that you do? Like, okay, so he manufactures vaccines, and I'm here again with my brother from the Source magazine, and I like to say anybody who has worked at the Source magazine, I call him my brother or my mate because I also was at the Source. So, all
thank you for
right, but
having me.
anyway, we have my man Nathan Seven Davis. He's written for the Source Smooth magazine. He's also been made an appearance on the O'Reilly Factor on Fox News. So we welcome both these gentlemen to the weekly report and roundtable. And just for clarification, uh, I did invite several ladies to be on the panel this evening. They declined. So there you have it. Gentlemen, we are less
Right.
than a week from the 2020 presidential election. How you guys feeling?
Um, hmm. I'm scared, man. I'll be honest. I don't know how it's gonna go. I I try not to listen to polls.
Right.
Um, but prediction wise, I have no idea. Um, all you can do is hope and vote.
How about you, Nathan?
So I jokingly told somebody last week at work, excuse me, that it might be time for me to move back overseas, um, depending on the results. I do think that Biden's going to win, but I do believe there's going to be a lot of civil unrest once the election is over.
Okay, before I get to the civil unrest, I think I asked this before, and I'll ask it again. I don't. I understand that people dislike Trump and everything, but people act like black people were skating on easy street before Trump came along, and then all of a sudden he turned over our apple cart. Biden wins the election. Who here doesn't have to go to work the next day?
No, I excuse me. I don't think. Well, I know we didn't have it on easy street
Right.
before Trump took office. But the thing is, and in all honesty, walking down whatever street we were on, we always had the wind to our face. But now it's like ratcheted up to a gale. So you're not only walking uphill on an unpaved street, you have this gale blowing at you, and you absolutely know that there's not going to be any kind of cooperation, or any kind of cooperation you get is going to be a definite struggle.
Okay. You want to add anything to that, Nathan?
No, I mean, I agree. It's not as if Biden's going to become president and all of a sudden, I'm getting handshakes from police officers and people inviting me into their homes that have never talked to me before. It's the thing of though that I not that I think Trump has flamed the fires of racism. They never were extinguished in the United States, but he's definitely thrown some gas on it. And I think if you put Biden into the office, you won't have someone who's actually fanning the fires, but someone who might actually want to address the fires a little bit more than what we've had for the last 4 years.
I agree with that, definitely.
Okay. All right. Now, just to play the advocate, um, Trump has let some people out of jail. Um, he's given some money to some HBUs, I believe. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's done some things that could be could be considered window dressing unless you're on the receiving end, in which case, whether you like him or not, he helped you.
Well, let's let's investigate this. The money he gave to the HBCUs, because now he's putting up roadblocks to that money.
Yes.
So the HBCUs that he saved can't get to the money that was earmarked for them. So I mean, it's like a here you go, and then he hits you with a left cross. It's like, come on, man.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
and to piggyback on that, so if you look at the stipulations on the money, if you do anything that's deemed to make people feel uncomfortable, if you're teaching about racism, the Holocaust of Black folks, whatever it might be, Tuskegee experiment, then your federal funding can be pulled away. Not only at HBCUs, but for federal agencies that actually come and try to have
Mhm.
sensitivity classes on racism, diversity, whatever. And if you offend somebody and they report it, your funding can now be taken away. And I don't remember the name of the law, but you just touched on it, James.
I think it's
That what
called
he's
the Karen
doing.
Law.
What was that?
I jokingly said I think it's called the Karen Law.
Yeah, well, but the fact that's there and people don't know about it. What I mean? I'm going to tell you something. I said this, and this might not be the most popular comment. I think 70% of Americans are clueless about what really goes on. We're
I would
we're
agree with
not
that.
we're not the most read group.
Mhm.
People now jump on Facebook and they get a little quick blurb on Twitter. They don't actually research anything. So if you actually come out and make a statement, they run with it. And I don't want to take up much time, but when the virus they say hit, people were saying, well, when it gets hot, it's going to go away. And I looked at someone I work with and I said, you must be slow. I said, I was in Dubai for the last 4 years. They said, yeah. I said, you don't see on the news where this is in India, where this is in Egypt, where this is
Mhm.
in, all these warm countries. I said, it's 100, and I picked up my phone. I said, it's 110 degrees right now in Dubai. Dubai is closed down because of the virus. So what makes you magically think when it hits 85 degrees in New Jersey that the
It's gonna
virus is going to
magically disappear.
disappear? But yet in Dubai, Egypt, Spain, all these other hot spots, they have it. But I guess we got magical heat. And because of our magical heat, it's going to go away. I said, you guys need to stop listening to these pundits on TV and pick up a book
Mhm.
or actually do a little research. And you would see a lot of the stuff you're told is BS and would never, no one with any sense would take it seriously.
Well, two things I gave up trying to have sensible conversations about. One is politics in general, and two is coronavirus.
Okay.
Um, I just, uh, but I'm going to ask you guys about some questions about coronavirus. Um, so let me ask you this. And again, these I'm asking these questions to ask them, not to have a pointed outcome, but to get your educated or best answer on questions that I think other people aren't asking.
Okay.
So, um, being that the virus seems to be on the uptick, not just in America but worldwide, um, is continuing to close economies the right move or the smart move?
The way it's the way the virus is transmitted. Initially, they thought it was more contact, so touch and touch, like hand mouth, the route, and respiratory. It's just respiratory, as far as what I understand, unless something else is going to change, because that's how science works. But going by just the respiratory rate, if you open economies and you take precautions, everyone wearing masks, everyone being careful, and still, even though it's not hand to mouth or hand to eye or hand to nose, still decontaminating your hands and keeping social distancing practices in place, then you can have a semi-opened economy That's not going to shut everything down. You'll have some kind of cash flow, but there's so many people that don't want to follow it, and it's become a, let's be honest, it's become a political issue. You wear a
Yeah.
mask, you're a liberal. You don't wear a mask, you're assumed to be, a conservative. But since there are people, well, first of all, since this is an issue, and there are people that don't want to do anything to not necessarily protect themselves, because wearing the mask isn't going to protect you, it's protecting others, then it's going to be an issue. And we're not going to see any kind of relief. We're going to have basically peaks and valleys, like wavelengths, with infections being high, then people getting scared and retreating to their homes, and the infection rate will drop. And then everyone's going to start coming out. People aren't going to start wearing masks. You're going to have high rates of infection again. And you're just going to keep going through that cycle.
Okay. Well, I'm asking because I thought in Europe everybody was masked up, and it's still on the rise.
No, I just read on the BBC, I think, a BBC website, in Italy, people were protesting um, the social distancing measures that were in place. And remember, Italy initially was hit hard. I think it
Right.
was Italy, Spain, and a couple other European countries were hit hard. And I'm like, these people know what they needed to do to get back to where they are. And I do understand that it's difficult. You don't want to live your life locked up, or not really doing anything or going anywhere. But if everyone did what they were supposed to do from, we'll say, February to late February, early March to now, we would probably be further along and not have as much to worry about.
Okay. All right. Your thoughts, Nathan?
I mean, it's funny because when James is talking, I guess by living overseas, um, my wife and I have a Canadian friend who actually ended up moving to Italy, and she was just talking about the shutdown when while she's there, and it was much different. Like they could only go out certain days of the week to get food, or to get medicine, so they didn't do much of anything. So when we talk about our lockdown, we really did not have a lockdown. What we had is you guys should stay home a little bit more than usual. You still could go to the market. You still could go where you wanted to go. They closed certain businesses. But when you compare the lockdown of the United States to the lockdown of people in Europe and even Africa, because I talked to a colleague in Rwanda, they had a much different situation than us, where they truly could not go in and out and move around like they want. Um, and I also agree it has become political. Someone I know with a doctorate degree said to me maybe about a month ago, "Don't worry, on November 3rd, the virus is going to go away." Now, this is somebody with a doctorate, and this person truly thought, or was came out the mouth and said it's going to go away. I hope there's no way this person believes that that's going to happen. But that's the same person who does not want to wear a mask and thinks you should not have to wear a mask.
Okay.
So we're dealing with a lot of issues.
I'm up against the break, but
Go ahead.
along that lines, I'm going to take a break for radio, um, but don't go anywhere. If you're just tuning in, you are listening to the weekly report and roundtable. My name's Raymond Tyler. I'm here with my guests, uh, James and Nathan Davis, and I'll ask James during the break if it's okay to put his government name out there. We'll be back right after this.